Elden Ring Nightreign has been stealing every second of free time I have since it came out. I know I should probably make videos on different topics, but making Nightreign videos is the only way I can justify feeding my unhealthy addiction. More than anything else, the root cause of my addiction stems from the Nightfarers, the playable characters in Elden Ring Nightreign. Today, I'd like to briefly talk about each of them, and why they've been living rent-free in my mind all this time. Before I get into it, if you could remember to leave a like or a subscribe, that would be super helpful to me. There's really no better place to start than with Wylder, or as I like to call him, John Nightreign. He's the first Nightfarer you play as in the game, and is in a lot of ways the simplest. Upon being revealed, I thought Wylder was going to be my main for one very big reason. He has a grapple hook. Everybody knows that the existence of a grapple hook increases the fun of any game by at least a full number grade. While Wylder can't get a ton of mobility from his grapple move, he arguably gets something even more fun, at least to me. Scorpion's Get Over Here spear. With this, you can rip away shields, pull enemies off balance, or close distance to big baddies in a flash. This move is incredibly fun to use, and encourages you to go aggro as much as possible. I know you're thinking, if you mindlessly go on the offensive 24/7, isn't that going to get you killed? Well, normally it would, but that problem is solved by Wylder's passive ability, Skill Issue. This ability allows Wylder to ignore a hit that would otherwise kill him. Better yet, every time you visit a site of grace, the ability refreshes, allowing you to dive headfirst into a brick wall all over again. Wylder also has affinity for great swords, meaning he gets an alternate and more useful moveset when using one. Great swords are arguably the French vanilla of weapons in Elden Ring, which makes them a perfect fit for a man named John Nightreign. Lastly, I need to talk about Wylder's ultimate move, Vine Boom Sound Effect. As the name implies, this move lets you Vine Boom your enemies out of existence. It also does a shitload of stagger damage against bosses. Altogether, Wylder is a fun, jack-of-all-trades kind of character. Decent health, decent damage, decent utility, anything you could ask for, Wylder has some of it. For how simple he is, there's arguably an even simpler character you can play as, the Guardian. This is the de facto tank type character of Nightreign. If Wylder wants to faceplant into brick walls until they break, then the Guardian wants to be a bigger, scarier brick wall that intimidates enemy brick walls into crumbling on their own. His specialty weapon is the halberd. I've always thought that scythes and reapers were the coolest weapon class in medieval RPGs, so I really appreciate that this character gets a moveset with him that isn't total dog shit. In conjunction with halberds, Bird Boy over here uses shields to take advantage of one of my personal favorite playstyles in Elden Ring, guard countering. I just love this mechanic so much. It's the Uno reverse card of combat. The Guardian's passive ability is a defensive stance that turns you into an impenetrable wall of steel and feathers. Sure, this ability also cripples both your legs, but it's a small price to pay for being a tank. The Guardian's main ability is Pocket Tornado, an incredibly useful piece of tech that knocks enemies into the air and sits their ass dead on the ground. Once an enemy is prone, your team should have no trouble curb stomping them into a shallow grave. This ability also clears away Deathblight Mist, which doesn't come up in every run, but anytime it does, having this move feels like the ultimate fuck you silver bullet. I'm quite the fan. But as cool as it is, this ability doesn't hold a candle to the Guardian's ultimate move, AC 130 above. This ult has the Guardian flying high into the sky before crashing down to Earth with the force of a nuclear bomb. Any enemy who bears witness to this ability knows that they're about to have a very bad day. The dive bomb even does enough damage to fully res a downed ally, which happens pretty goddamn often. This character has a ton of helpful utility in their kit, yet they remain incredibly simple. A simplicity that lives in sharp contrast to our next Nightfarer. The most difficult class to play, in my opinion, is the Recluse. This is all because of her main skill. Magic bullshit go. Whenever an enemy is dealt elemental damage, they get marked with that specific damage type. The Recluse can then absorb the elemental mark to gain some mana back, and add a charge to her elemental wheel. Once she has any combination of 3 elemental charges in her elemental wheel, she can unleash a special elemental attack. The thing is, depending on what elements were absorbed, the attack you get is completely different. The only one I have memorized is Triple Magic, because that's the one you can use right at the start, and I often end up dying before I get a chance to experiment with her. But the ceiling on this character is so unbelievably high, not to mention incredibly fun. And this ability provides infinite mana for you as long as you're paying attention. But what if you aren't paying attention? What if you do run out of mana, with no marked enemies and no melee weapons with elemental damage? Well, if you really fucked up that badly, the Recluse always has her ult right at her disposal. If it's charged. It has to be charged. Using her ult marks nearby enemies with the Curse of Ra. All damage they take is increased, and any ally who deals damage regains a bit of health and mana. Basically, whenever you see an enemy with this mark, you should make kicking their ass your highest priority. The Recluse slaps. If you're a wizard enjoyer, she will absolutely hit the spot. Our next Nightfarer is the Duchess. If Wylder is John Nightreign, then the Duchess is Jane Bloodborne. She has a double dodge attached to her passive, allowing her to evade danger easier than a billionaire evades taxes. The mobility granted by this skill is phenomenal for weaving attacks into an enemy without ever really putting yourself at risk. Her main ability is called Rewind Time. This skill takes all the damage an enemy has just received in the last 5 seconds and deals it to them again. Double bleed procs, double poise breaking, double Wylder's vine booms. You can double anything, except for critical hits apparently, which seems like a weird exclusion, but I guess they didn't want the Duchess to have too much synergy with herself. Because, you see, her favored weapons are daggers, a class that inherently gets more critical damage. Additionally, her ultimate art, Hide and Seek, gives her guaranteed backstabs against any enemy that can be backstabbed. After you use this ultimate art, the Duchess turns herself and all her allies invisible for 15 seconds, during which time you can beat the shit out of any enemy in the game, and they'll just sit there letting it happen. The Duchess is one of the best feeling classes in the entire game. Most of that is due to her rewind ability being so fucking fun to use, but everything about her just works for me. Being fast and nimble is a playstyle most people like in these games. If that's you, then the Duchess might just be your favorite Nightfarer. On the other hand, if you like going monkey mode and mindlessly hitting things until they die, you should give the Raider a shot. His favorite weapons include any and all sticks of exceptionally large size. His playstyle fully embodies the tried and true method of Unga Bunga. His character skill, aptly named Unga Bunga, involves the Raider putting down his weapons so he can solve his problems with his fists instead. During this skill's windup, you have insane damage reduction, which is a good thing because getting hit during the windup makes the second part of this move a hell of a lot stronger. I guess the Raider is fueled by pain and rage or something. Kind of like my alcoholic grandfather. The harder he gets hit, the more devastating the follow-up becomes. Despite being the big stick brainlet class, This skill kinda feels like advanced martial arts, where you need to parry and counterattack for maximum effectiveness. Not to worry though, because the Raider's ultimate move takes things back to basics. It's called Summon Rock. And, well, it summons a rock. This rock can be climbed on to attack safely from range. It interrupts enemy movement and projectiles, and it gives a team-wide damage buff, so you can hit things extra hard for a short time. I'm not a huge fan of the Raider personally. Mostly I think it comes down to his aesthetic. I think the skull hat is cool, don't get me wrong, but the rest of his outfit is just devoid of style in my opinion. To me, this is whatever the opposite of drip is. I know aesthetics really shouldn't play a role in how much I enjoy a character, but they do. And Raider has a style that I just don't particularly care for. Armored up Samurai, however, now that's a style I can get behind. The Executor is the final melee-based Nightfarer in the game, and he's an incredibly fun addition to the roster. As a Samurai, his favorite weapons are katanas, obviously. In fact, the Executor loves katanas so much, his main character skill is a katana. Using this ability turns the Executor into John Sekiro from hit game Sekiro. This means you can deflect almost any attack thrown at you, while simultaneously draining the enemy's poise as they try to hit you. I didn't like this ability initially when I first played the Executor, but that's because I was a dumb stupid baby without any intelligence to speak of. Being able to deflect anything is maybe the most fun thing you can even do in this game. The level of satisfaction I get from perfect parrying a string of attacks before landing a critical hit is beyond comprehension. If you parry enough attacks, your sword will power up, giving you access to an extra special slashing move that puts you behind the enemy you're engaged with. The Executor is a class all about precision and timing, careful planning, and flawless execution. Naturally, you'd expect a class like this to have an ultimate which further enhances this playstyle. And if that's what you thought, then you're a goddamn idiot, because the Executor's ultimate move is actually transforming into a giant lumbering dog. As far as the ultimate arts go, this one might be my favorite. And not because it turns you into a furry, but because it's just really fun to use. Activating this ability fully heals you, it gives you a shitload of stats, makes you immune to status conditions, and replaces your moveset with a bunch of powerful swipe and slam attacks that pretty much stunlock anything unlucky enough to be standing in front of you. I love this Nightfarer and the playstyle he enables. And I think that's just about everything that needs to be said about the Executor. Oh, wait! I almost forgot about his passive! But there's a good reason for that. The devs forgot about it too. His passive is that whenever he recovers from a status ailment, his attack power and stamina regen increase for a short time. Wow. Truly a game-changing passive I will definitely take advantage of in every Nightreign run. Moving on to the next Nightfarer, Ironeye. Or, as I like to call him, Edgy Legolas.
Are these many lords vying for the same throne? Perhaps they'll do us a favor and wipe each other out.
You might want to sit down for this, because I'm going to say something that very well may send you into cardiac arrest. FromSoft made the bow playstyle good.
Impossible.
I know, but I swear it's true. Ironeye's preferred weapons are bows, which is a big reason why this playstyle works at all. Of course, bow damage is still a tad low, but Ironeye compensates for that low damage with one of the best abilities in the game, Marked for Death. With this skill, Ironeye dashes in a direction and passes through enemies along his trajectory. Any enemy he collides with is marked with a red X. The X, naturally, stands for Exterminate this motherfucker in particular. Marked enemies take additional damage, and If you manage to deal enough damage in a short time, then the marked target fucking explodes! Along with the mark. This deals an insane amount of bonus damage. The way this ability feels to execute is really good. Having a long distance dash you can pull out is just so much fun to use. It's very satisfying. After signing an enemy's death warrant with your mark, the Ironeye can seamlessly transition into also being their executioner with the use of his ultimate move, Ultimate Arrow of Destruction. Ironeye uses a giant oversized fuck-off bow capable of piercing the heavens themselves to turn anything on the receiving end of his arrow into splattered jelly. This move is very straightforward. It deals big damage from an even bigger range. If you want to, it's also good for being a team player who revives allies, which is always helpful. But if you want to talk about being a team player, Ironeye's passive, Eye of the Wicked Lord, is very helpful for your team. And all it does is increase the chance of rare or legendary items spawning, which sounds kind of underwhelming, but I'm pretty sure the only times I've ever seen a legendary spawn was when I was on a team with an Ironeye. So the odds must be pretty good. And I'm going to be a fan of anything that enables my gambling addiction. So I like this passive a lot. I like the Ironeye a lot. Everything about him just works for me. But he's not my favorite Nightfarer. That brings us to the final Nightfarer. My favorite of the game, the Revenant. So, Ironeye made the bow playstyle good, which is impressive. But bows have technically always been usable since the dawn of Souls games, which means Ironeye was only slightly breaking the mold. The Revenant, by comparison, didn't just create an entirely new mold, she made an entirely new factory! She's a Necromancer / Summoner class, which is crazy when you think about it. And there's no FromSoft bullshit. Her mechanics just work and are good. Not even Todd Howard could make something this functional. Her passive, Rise My Minions, has a chance to spawn the ghost of any enemy you kill that will fight for you. Probably against their will, but that's what makes it fun for me. This ability is neat and flavorful, but isn't super useful most of the time. Groups of shitter enemies die to getting sneezed on, and most bosses don't have ads you can take advantage of. Though in solo play, it does help to somewhat keep groups of mobs off your ass. So there's that. The Revenant's bread and butter comes from her main ability. All my friends are dead, but that's okay because I put their souls in a jar, and sometimes I use that jar to summon their ghosts to spill the blood of my enemies before having afternoon tea time with them in an abandoned cemetery. It's crazy they fit all that in the description box. This skill lets the Revenant summon one of 3 ghosts to help her in battle. Each ghost has their own advantages and drawbacks, so you need to know which one will be most useful in whatever crazy situation you find yourself facing. This skill has no cooldown either, so you can swap which ghost is active at the drop of a hat, though you do still need to keep track of how much health they all have. Don't ask me to explain how a ghost can have a health bar, because, quite frankly, I'm just as baffled by that as you are. To aid in keeping your ghoulies alive, the Revenant can use her ultimate ability, which just so happens to turn all allies around her immortal for a short time. This art also supercharges whatever ghost is currently on field, and gives them access to their own ultimate move. My personal favorite is Sebastian's Kamehameha laser. I just think it looks cool. Oh, and her ultimate can revive any downed allies. That's cool too. Of course, sometimes the Revenant needs to be able to defend herself without the help of her ghostly entourage. Luckily, she's the best character in the game at using Holy Talismans, a weapon type with extreme utility, variety, and range. everything from golden frisbees to black fireballs. The Revenant is a master of it all. And with that, I've talked about all 8 Nightfarers currently in Nightreign. I quite like playing as all of them, though some are certainly more fun than others. This video is probably long enough as it is, so I'm going to keep things brief here. If you liked this video, please leave a like or a subscribe if you haven't already. At time of writing, I've just hit 500 subscribers, which is awesome, so let's keep that ball rolling. It would also be great if you could watch another one of my videos. The one on screen is apparently the best one for you, so give it a shot. Thank you so much for watching this video to the end. Please remember to stay positive and have a wonderful day, everyone.